Hello friends, and welcome to the beautiful desert. It is an early one for me. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. Finally, it's safe enough to put my nectar out for the hummingbirds. Finally, in the early mornings, it gets under 90. So when the temperatures are like that, I don't keep my nectar out overnight. I put it out in the morning. But those birds are searching for the nectar each morning. So come along with me and let's give them what they're looking for, that fresh nectar. So what I do, I put the ice in the ant moats for the hummingbirds so that way they have water for the day, and also the finches, they do come and get the water as well. So we'll just add the ice there and these are ready to go. Within seconds of putting up the feeder, it's still swinging and there they are. So it's the same day, it's about 7:30 p.m. and it is still 110 degrees out. And these are the same feeders that we're going to use that nectar and save it, not for the hummingbirds, but for our experiment. And we are going to purposely spoil the nectar so we can see what happens and what it looks like. So stay tuned. I'm letting these guys get one last drink in before bedtime. So for my experiment, I have a mason jar, and up at the top I punctured it with some holes just to simulate the airflow of a regular feeder. In a few minutes, I'm gonna fill it up with the old nectar that's in the feeders that you see behind me, and we're gonna let it sit for a few days and see what grows. All right, let's set this nectar out. Got it rinsed off since I got it all splashed, and I didn't want it all sticky, so I'm going to set it aside somewhere where the birds can't find it and somewhere where it is in the direct sun, because the sunlight will cause more fermentation and more stuff to grow. So we're going to let this cook and we'll check on it probably tomorrow morning and then a couple days after. The nectar looks clear now, but lurking in this solution are mold spores. These microscopic spores are in stage 1, or the dormancy stage. As we let the day pass and the nectar spoil, let's check on one of my backyard beauties, who I've lovingly named Jacques. He's a male Costa hummingbird. I didn't get a chance to check on the nectar yesterday, so let's go take a look at the nectar. When mold spores find an ideal habitat, they multiply. So here we are at stage 2, germination, or the hyphal stage. They found the ideal environment, a food source, which is carbs or the sugar, warmth, oxygen, moisture, and they prefer a dark environment. But look at these visible dark specks. This is dangerous. As we let more time pass and we check on Jacques again, let's learn about why this mold is so dangerous. The mold in the spoiled nectar will cause hummer's candidiasis. It coats the hummingbird's throat and their tongue and causes their tongue to swell up, making it unable for them to feed, causing them to starve to death. It is a painful way to die. It is also transferable, as a mother hummingbird can also infect her babies. Here is a handy temperature guide that I've made to make it convenient for you, and I will put this in the comments below so that way you have access to a reminder for the temperature guide. And please be mindful that it is in Fahrenheit. Good morning, friends. It's the morning of day 5, and let's go take a look at that spoiled nectar to see what's growing, if there's any cloudiness to the nectar. So let's take a peek. Even though there doesn't appear to be any cloudiness to the nectar, believe me, it is unsafe for the birds. Being out in the heat 5 days, bacteria is starting to grow because, like I said, we are purposely trying to spoil this nectar. See what happens, so stay tuned. As we let some more days pass, let's meet a newer hummingbird that's been hanging around Sonoran Bling headquarters, a young male Costa that I have cutely named Martin. He's been hanging around the garden, and as you can see, he loves to stretch his wings and fluff his feathers and, of course, guard that feeder. So I was thinking, let's add a layer to our nectar experiment and factor in the concept of topping off. What that is refilling the nectar, the already used feeder, with fresh nectar. Now, this is not advised. The plan is to take this fresh nectar that I've used, it's some leftover nectar from refilling last night's feeders, and we're gonna add it to that spoiled nectar that's outside. Some of that nectar has been evaporating, and this fresh nectar will also introduce some new carbohydrates and new food for the bacteria to process. So it's going to be nice and happy with us. I didn't want to show myself struggling with the lid to come off. It was stuck on there from all the sticky nectar, the sugar. But it's a little bit cloudy, so starting to kind of cloud up. The old nectar, though, it's evaporating in the heat. There isn't much left. So a lot of times people will think, hey, it's okay to just, add some new fresh nectar to this old feeder. But that is not advised, and that approach, the topping off approach, is not advised. And again, we're gonna see why and see what grows. Okay, I've got the lid back on and we'll let it sit, check on it in a few days. As we let more days pass, we will watch Martin take a sip from the feeder, and he is of course drinking fresh nectar that I've made from a simple recipe following the 4-to-1 ratio of 4 cups water to 1 cup sugar. I have another video provided for a simple hummingbird nectar recipe. So whenever you need it, go ahead and click that link. A few more days have passed, and let's go check on our nectar experiment. So it's been 2 days after refilling our old nectar and you can start to see some of this little growth that's happening. The water mold is in the stage 3. It is in growth and colonization. It has adapted to the environment, and it is toxic as it's creating defense mechanisms such as mycotoxins. Mycotoxins are dangerous to humans as well, as they can cause neurological disorders. So here's another day, and I'm changing out my hummingbird feeders. It's a female Costa. I have sweetly named her Snowball. So it's been about a week with that spoiled nectar and with the topping off nectar too. So let's go take a peek and see what's growing. This is a perfect example of what you do not want to see in your nectar. This expansion of the mold, it's become visible. It's adapted to this environment. Let's, keep it going. We'll say hello again to Martin. He is perched on this aloe vera after the sprinklers. He loves to get the water off of the blades of grass. He also hovers around and eats the mosquitoes for protein. The water mold in that spoiled nectar has really expanded. Let me take you to our final check. Take a look at this, and now mature these spores. I would definitely say this is a stage 4, where the sporulation stage, they release other spores into the environment. Definitely has a mold infestation in this spoiled nectar. These hot temperatures stay well into 100 degrees Fahrenheit in the Sonoran Desert well into the middle to end of October. So we have a while still to go. I change my nectar in the hummingbird feeders daily, and I have a hummingbird guide, a nectar feeder hummingbird guide that I've made for you all. It is in Fahrenheit, so please be mindful of that. Hopefully helpful to everybody to let everyone know, and as a reminder of when to change out the nectar for those wonderful hummingbirds, because we don't want to get them sick with that awful hummingbird candidiasis. In the description below, you'll find a link to an older video of mine for a simple hummingbird nectar recipe. So if you ever forget, it's a handy reference. Also in the description below, you'll find the link to Amazon for the Pops hummingbird swing that you saw sweet Martin relaxing on. He's so adorable. I thank you in advance as an Amazon associate. I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. And until next time, friends, happy birding.